Here we are. I'm Marc Cohen. I'm one of the board members of the Global Wellness Summit, and I've got with me here Wim Hof, the Iceman, who was with us 3 years ago at the Breakers in Florida, and who needs no introduction, and James Nestor, who's the best-selling author of the book Breathe. And I'm a medical doctor. For the last 20 years, I've been researching breathing. I've published a dozen papers on the Buteyko method and dysfunctional breathing and pranayama. And we're going to talk about breathing and hopefully leave everybody breathless. And the way we're going to do this, we've only got 10 minutes. We're literally going to leave people breathless, but I'm just going to have some talking points and we're going to go around and bring up the issues that go around it. And the first one I want to talk about, which is such a big topic in James's book, is which hole do we breathe through? And I've heard Wim say, when he does his breathing, it doesn't matter which hole, just get it in you. But that's for an acute period. So which hole will we breathe through? James, you want to kick that off?
Yeah, and what I try to make clear in the book is there's one thing that's habitual breathing. This is how we're breathing throughout the day. And there's another thing called breathing exercises and breathing techniques. So you wouldn't go to a gym for 24 hours and lift weights. That's going to destroy your body, which is the same thing why you wouldn't breathe Wim Hof method breathing 24 hours. It's going to be a bad idea. But this is breathing in a gym. That's what he is doing. I believe he can speak for himself, but that's what so many of these techniques are built for. This short amount of time, intense amount of time, you focus on your breathing so that the rest of the day you can breathe healthily, slow through the nose.
And Wim, what's your take?
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. He's totally right. I love the metaphor. Yeah, going to the gym, great, but you are not doing that all the day. That is not good. So what I do, get it in, just to simplify, because people complicate when they talk about breathing exercise. Do it through the nose, the nostril left or right, or the belly, or the diaphragm, or the lungs, or simultaneous, or is it a combination? Maybe a retention little, just hold, and get it in, fully in, letting go.
Yeah, brilliant. So so we breathe through our nose, but if we have to do it another time for our mouth, when we're swimming, or when we do it at the gym, or we're doing your Wim Hof breathing, doesn't matter which hole. It's more important to get it in. Great. Now, respiratory rate, and I think a lot of these techniques end up having us breathe less. And I know the Buteyko practitioners, they say, don't do Wim Hof method because that's over breathing. You don't want to, you want to retain carbon dioxide. But I think it's a similar principle. You're doing it at the gym. You're training yourself, but to eventually breathe less. And how do we do that? I mean, we're going to try and leave people breathless. But James, you want to? How do you breathe less? Yeah.
You could walk for 10 miles and get your exercise that way, or you could go to a gym for 30 minutes and get your exercise that way. So there's different ways of doing the same thing. I think the whole premise behind these very intense breathing practices, whether it's Wim Hof method, whether it's Kriya, whether it's pranayamas, whether it's whatever, is to balance the body, is to focus on those 20 or 30 minutes of breath work, so that the rest of the time you're breathing normally. And by breathing normally, I mean for the vast majority of us, that's breathing less, because most of society is breathing way too much. And if we constantly do that, we're causing our bodies to constantly compensate. After a while, they're going to break down. And just look around the general population and you can see what's happened.
Yeah, I must say, after doing Wim Hof method, for months on end, at the end of that method, you find this period where you're in this bliss state. Your mind is turned off and you're hardly breathing at all. And it's one of the few times I've noticed I can get my resting pulse rate 10 beats per minute below my pulse 10 beats per minute below my resting pulse. I don't know any other technique I can lower my resting pulse by 10 beats per minute in just a short time. So yeah, having less breath and less pulse, but you actually feel more alive. And I think that's a theme, yeah?
Well, that's what's right. Happening. Yeah, you're bounced. I'll let Wim take over here.
Yeah, it's been showing now that in 2014, that we got into, as the first time in medical history, into the autonomic nervous system, which is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which is action and rest. And it shows, like Mark is telling, 10 beats lower. Yes, because you are there. You are manipulating through the life force, which is the breath, inside your own physiology, in the depth, unprecedented deep, and get it within your willful control. This was unknown. And in 2014, more was being found, namely that we are able to suppress inflammation caused by, say, bacteria or virus, inflammation in general within a quarter of an hour through breathing manipulation. So that right now is amazing. I mean, it should be a topic. We only talk about mouth caps and social distancing. Why don't we talk about how to boost our immune system through natural, deeper, conscious breathing techniques? It's there.
Well,
And there we
the
are.
unfortunate thing is it's free and no one's pushing it. And even as a doctor, as a medical doctor, I mean, I used to teach medical diagnosis, and you teach how to measure respiratory rate, but on the standard medical notes, you don't actually put mouth breather or nose breather. It's not even something doctors actually think about to assess, let alone, try and address. And I know that can, James, you talked about in your book, whether you're a nose breather or a mouth breather can be predictive of so many different illnesses. But as a medical fraternity, we're not even actually observing that, which is an issue. And on the issue of the autonomic nervous system, we breathe in, it's sympathetic, we breathe out, it's parasympathetic, it's rest and digest. And there are many techniques in ancient chanting practices and prayer and singing where we do this prolonged exhalation. And I notice, Wim, you're a great singer, and you talked about chanting in your book, James, that these practices of prolonged expiration, where you actually build up carbon dioxide levels, have been used in so many different practices. Yet again, we don't talk about that as a wellness practice, singing, chanting. Do you guys have, I'd love to know your favorite chants or prayers or songs that you use.
To me, they're almost all the same because so many of these tie into the same respiratory rate, which is why the researchers who have studied these things believe that people have been chanting these certain ways for so long. Like prayer heals, but it probably has a lot to do with how you're breathing. Because when you're breathing at a rate of about 6 breaths per minute, you get more oxygen to your brain. Your heart rate is going to slow down. You get more circulation, and this balance takes over your body. And this has been very thoroughly documented for the last couple decades. So you can pray. That's great stuff. But if you don't want to pray and you just want to breathe at the rhythmic way that these prayers are constructed, whether it's Sata Nama, Om Mani Padme Hum, whether it's the Rosary, you can pick whatever prayer you want. Those prayers are constructed at the same respiratory rate, and that's where so many of the benefits are coming from.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. It's about the prayer, and breathing is able to change the biochemistry profoundly within us. And through our stress in our daily lives, we get heightened heart rate, we get less blood flow to the brain, we begin to shallow breathe because of the anxiety going on, the too much stress hormone, the cortisol gets in, and constantly we are on, but actually half on. We don't restore, we don't repair, and that should be done through one breath. One breath is action, one breath is repair. One breath is action, and one is, it's antagonistic. But what we do is, because of our emotions, because of our stress, and there it is. We live in a shallow physiological control within ourselves, in the end, causing a lot of autoimmune diseases. And then we go to the doctor, and he doesn't know about nasal breathing or mouth breathing or whatsoever breathing.
Yeah, well, because of you, Wim, I've been running workshops, taking people into ice baths, and I came up with these, I call them the 10 hacks to relax. These are biohacks that you can turn on your parasympathetic nervous system. And most of them are around breathing. So it's touch all your fingers, wiggle your toes, soften your stomach, breathe through your nose, sigh, smile, swallow, sing, flutter your eyelids and focus within. Now they're all
interoception.
Yeah, they're all.
That's all interoception. I showed in the last brain scans how to just by thought learned by the right breathing, we turn our bodies alkaline, which is the right environment for our neurology. Then our will is able to travel through our body a lot better. We get a lot better command. Then top-down regulation is possible through interoception. And we are doing the research now. It goes to the DNA, to the RNA. It goes to the building blocks of life itself. The purpose, the life is now within your control. Where does it come from? Conscious breathing.
So Wim, we're out of time, but let's just take the audience through a round of conscious breathing.
Here we are.
Let's see if we can leave them breathless.
Great. And by the way, yes, great. Thank you for being, for me being here. Okay, here it comes. Everybody knows a deep breath in. That means belly, chest, and let it go. Fully in. And let it go. Everybody is able to do this. Just don't mind. Fully in. Letting go. Fully in. Letting go. Fully in. Letting go. Not complicated, just deeply into the physiology, fully in. Letting go. You will astound yourself very soon, fully in. Letting go. We will go deeply into the brain. Deeply into the adrenal axis, deeply into the lymphatic system, all thought of impossible just by doing this. So fully in, letting go, fully in, letting go. 10 more. Let your mind just follow the breath. So your consciousness gets everywhere in the body. Logical, because the breath goes everywhere. You reach up till the DNA and it all begins to remember and to connect because your willful connection is there. So it all opens up, fully in, letting go, lightheaded, whatever is different in feeling, breathe into it, make it stronger. It is a charge. Fully in, letting go. 2 more. Fully in, letting go. Fully in, letting go. Here comes the last one. Fully in, let it go, and stop. And there's no need for breathing. Carbon dioxide has been blown off. Alkalinity is inside, a lot of oxygen. You are able, without force, to stay the way you are. That is with empty lungs, looking at wherever you're looking at, in peace. Parasympathetic nervous system, there is no a breathing going on. There is just silence, being, no need for nothing. Internal repair, restoration, all is being done. It's amazing how deep it goes, because now we enter, without force still, into the brainstem. Because there are the oxygen parameters, and it's going dramatically down. Yet the body is still alkaline. So the biochemistry is great. There's nothing going on. Adrenaline shoots up because you got to survive. Can you imagine? They made the studies, compared this breathing with people going into their first bungee jump. More adrenaline doing this breathing technique than going into your first bungee jump. I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fully in. Hold. Contract your belly, your chest, and squeeze your head. Just a couple of seconds more, bringing in cerebrospinal fluid to the head, which normally is deprived. 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. Let go. There we are.
There you have it. hope we've left you all breathless and now breathful.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Wim.